But also on the geopolitical front, the United States ordered all of its non-emergency staff to leave Iraq effective immediately. The State Department directive comes as tensions with Iran rise following recent attacks on oil tankers and facilities in the region. Rick, I mean, when we're talking about this fear is that Iran-aligned militias in the region could pose a security threat for citizens there in Iraq. But obviously, since President Trump has been in office, and we talk about the nuclear deal there, tensions with Iran have run hot. But this is Middle East is another tricky question when we talk about geopolitical tensions and how it relates to oil as well.
And this is a head scratcher because the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, Iraq, is 100 miles from the border with Iran. So, yes, we have seen some increase in tensions with Iran, but that's not really new. Iran is in kind of a proxy war with Saudi Arabia, its enemy across the Gulf. And that involves Yemen, and there were apparently these two drone attacks on Saudi shipping tanks that were operated by these Yemeni rebels. And this is how complicated the whole Middle East is. So, what does this have to do with the embassy in Baghdad, Iraq? I mean, nobody, I think, at this moment understands what is the threat to people inside Iraq. That is different. That is not Iran. That's not Saudi Arabia. That's not Yemen.
Yeah, people have
what's
questions.
going on in there? Is this kind of some phony saber rattling? Is there a real thing here, or is this just to make it look like Iran is somehow meddling everywhere and posing a threat to Americans everywhere? I'm skeptical.
Yeah. And it really comes down to the credibility of the Trump administration.
Oh, yeah, well, they're 100% on that, sure.
It's hard to believe whether or not it's true. We've seen the Mueller report. We've seen accusations of obstruction of justice. It makes it hard to believe when the administration says, get out. But in terms of safety, they should probably listen in Iraq.
If there's a threat, I mean, look, this embassy has been opened through a horrible war. I mean, in Iraq, it is probably the most fortified American property in the world, or one of them. People are used to operating there, so it's not as if we don't know how to operate in circumstances like this, or at least the people who are there, they do know how to do this. So no one from the Trump administration has made clear how exactly is there an Iranian threat in Baghdad. Iran does support problematic elements within Iraq. That is true. But are they somehow now threatening Americans inside Iraq? This is a new thing? So we don't know. I
mean, to your point, all these questions raised, and yet the oil market holds pretty steady because of fracking here in the U.S. and the way the Permian Basin continues.
There are hostilities in the Middle East come and go, and oil traders are completely familiar with these patterns, and it really takes something that looks like it will directly affect the flow of oil to affect oil prices, and we haven't really seen that yet.
Yeah.
I will say, drone attacks on Saudi oil tankers, I think that's new. And there was also a drone attack on a Saudi pipeline.
Nonetheless, though, I mean,
but they didn't damage the actual flow of oil.
Yeah, we talk about the Saudi patch, the Permian Basin, though, the hottest oil patch in the world right now. You think about that, it's crazy.
In Texas.
The U.S., that's how far we've come. All right, Rick Newman, thank you so much for joining us. We also